you could live anywhere besides Canada, where would you live? Probably North Korea, because if there's one thing totalitarian governments are good for, it's getting me out of having to do things with my friends when I don't really want to see them. Hey Jay, we were thinking about going to the park. We were wondering if you're interested in coming with us. No, sorry, I can't do that. The dictator has some hard manual labor lined up for me today. Yeah, I'm swamped. And you know what, since I have you here, tomorrow's no good either. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, that salt's not gonna mine itself. Alright, has someone ever given you a food or drink and while you're trying to experience it, they say, it tastes like this, doesn't it? And then your brain immediately goes, you know, as a matter of fact, it does. Like, why do people feel the need to try and tell others what things taste, smell, look, or sound like? Like, imagine if I came up to you and I punched you right in the face. At no point would I need to also say, that feels like a punch in the face, doesn't it? It wouldn't be so bad if you could still be a competent driver, but it obviously causes some discrepancy between fiction and reality, because if anyone in this conga line of sadness could properly see, they'd realize that driving at 4 kilometers per hour is detrimental to everyone who has no reason to care about the corpse they feel the need to traffic from one expensive place to another. And now you're holding up my entire day because everyone in front of and beside me won't move for fear that old dead Uncle Fuck is gonna arthritically shamble his melting ghost face into their dreams at night, asking them questions about why they didn't stop their entire lives in order to pay respect to him for forgetting to wear his life alert bracelet last week. And I'm stuck here anxiously waiting for an opening so that I can blow past this shriveled, sunken group of people who don't know how to let go of a thing once it stops working, so that I can get home and tend to my more important appointments, like Google searching pictures of any animal with an unnatural testicle to dick ratio. The pet test is a very easy and definitive way to determine if there are any ghosts in the house, and if so, where specifically. All you gotta do is pick up your animal and procedurally carry them through every room while gauging their reaction. If at any point they constantly stare at the corner of a floor or a ceiling, or freak out and run away forever, you should also freak out and run away forever. It's always good to have some ghost detectors around, just all the time. That way you'll be the first to know if there's any spooky apparitions trying to shove their wiener in your mouth. So I have a lot of female friends who insist that I be made privy to all of their trials and hardships as a gender. And one thing that I've learned so far is that irregular periods are like a samurai in a Japanese forest that you're trying to traverse. He could be there, but you won't know for sure until it's too late and you're already bleeding. See, I'm kind of like a surgeon in that if it's your first time, I'm going to introduce myself and tell you I'll be performing your surgery, but if you're coming back every week to have surgery performed by the same guy, there's really no need for me to introduce myself multiple times, and I kind of just want to get in, get the job done, and get out as fast as possible. Which is also kind of like a rapist. And Chloe Moretz is very popular right now, and I think it's entirely due to an ancient source of power that she has buried deep within her upper lip. Every time she makes a film, it tries to escape a little bit harder, and the front of her face grows exponentially like a math equation that has its own agenda. What I'm waiting for is the inevitable buddy comedy that's coming, where it's her and her upper lip, and I want to see the crazy hijinks that they get up to together. Like they gotta break out of prison. That'd be awesome. People use a lot of stupid and meaningless phrases that I hate. Another one that comes to mind is plenty of fish in the sea, which I despise for so many reasons. First of all, it's like false reassurance, and everybody accepts it because it's technically true, but any amount of deliberation whatsoever reveals that it's actually no consolation whatsoever. Because when you think about it, most of these fish eat each other for sustenance. So now I'm supposed to feel better about being dumped because you've equated the search for romance with just vicious cannibalism. And some of these fish have little dangly bits that lure their prey in with the promise of something else, and then once it gets close enough, they eat its face. Alright, I don't like being compared to that. My wiener isn't some magic trick that I use to get you close to me. Alright, my wiener isn't just a magic trick that I use to get you close to me. Actually, now that I think about it, some of those anglerfish lures light up, don't they? I wouldn't mind having that. It totally eliminates the need for a flashlight during a blackout. Hey guys, don't worry about the candles. I got all the light we need right here. Plus I get the added bonus of never again hitting the rim when you're trying to pee at 3 in the morning. What was I talking about? I'm going to take this opportunity to give you guys some advice about painkillers. Don't take them if you have any serious plans for several hours afterwards. You swallow a couple Percocet thinking, well, these will keep my back from hurting when I go help my friend move later today. Then you wake up in the middle of the street, next to your mom with your pants on your head, and a pet guinea pig that you didn't have that morning. You think, well, this is a nice early birthday present, until you remember that your mom's been dead for 6 years. They make you really tired is what I'm saying. I thought I'd share some ideas for shows that I think would be better than watching anybody react to anything on Nickelodeon. Like, I want to make a show about this group of prostitutes, and they all charge an outrageous amount of money for full intercourse, except for one who does it for free. Every week, the viewers will get clues as to which one it is, and one of the prostitutes will be eliminated. It's called Who Gives a Fuck? I want to make a contest show where a bunch of women are put in front of a Roman banquet like a table full of food. You could eat whatever you want, but you have to throw up immediately afterward or else you get kicked off. It's called America's Next Top Model. So saying you're a vegetarian, with the exception of chicken and fish, is like saying that you're against abortion unless the procedure is done really late into the pregnancy. It's still meat, the only difference is how pink it is when it's ready to come out. And here's a painting of a pot of flowers. It evokes memories of the springtime and ideas of love and new beginnings. Well, my mom choked to death on a pot of flowers. Now she's vacuuming the living room when she tripped on the cord and fell face first onto the coffee table with her mouth wide open. An entire pot of flowers and the pot went directly down her throat. So no, actually this painting reminds me of my dead mom. Then the kid gets an F because it happened last week and he's still grieving. If you tell me that you're street smart with any smugness whatsoever, you've just admitted to me with confidence that your greatest strength is knowing where the best hookups are. Normally this comes about when somebody is questioning one's intelligence, so of course the natural response is to say to them, no, I don't need books, I'm road weathered. So that means that if we're ever accosted in a dark alley at 3 a.m., I know exactly which way to lean to make the rape less painful. While you were wasting your time in that library learning important things, I was busy finding out where to get a mean hand job for $1. So instead of holding on to any substantial knowledge, you're proud of the fact that you'd much prefer to know the fastest route to the club and back, keeping in mind that 2 blocks that way marks the territory line for Charlie the convicted sex offender. See that bus stop right there? That's where his perimeter ends and he turns around to continue prowling more in the direction of his crawl space. That whole experience felt like the establishing scene to every Romero movie ever. I'm driving home in the morning when suddenly I'm sideswiped by a hearse, and a zombie flies out the back door, attaching itself to my windshield, trying to pry through the glass to get to my face flesh while I'm flipping into oncoming traffic, and then I die upside down in a mushroom cloud. If you're going to have an opinion about something, then be selective about when you share it. Don't volunteer it up forcefully to strangers, as if it's your firstborn son and the guy sitting next to you at the bus stop is a vengeful death god who will put his fist into your wiener if you don't offer a proper tribute. People always say opinions are like assholes, but that's not true because there's no doctor or prescription antibiotic whose job it is to fix your opinion when it gets loud and irritating, so usually it's just left to fester out in the open, like a necrotic Komodo dragon bite. Also, most people don't have 15 assholes on their body that all have to do with something nobody wants to hear about. Whenever I watch ghost hunting shows and they cut away to a clip of a hidden camera capturing something flying across the room, I always like to imagine that there's somebody just barely out of frame, throwing whatever it was that they caught on camera. Just then, a hidden camera I had set up in my basement for really just no reason captured this footage. Whoa! And that's kind of my point. Like, I think I lack a certain magical quality that's necessary in order to be whimsically pleasant or entertaining, because in the back of my head I'm thinking about just horrible things. Like, if there was a volcanic earthquake right now and a fissure opened up beneath my feet, how many times could I yell Hitler had some good ideas before my vocal cords melted into my esophagus and I asphyxiated on my own flesh as I fell towards the Earth's molten core? If you could wish for something and it couldn't benefit you or anyone you know, what would you wish for and why? My knee-jerk response was to wish for exploding babies. Like, every child up to a certain age has a decent chance to violently erupt into a cloud of blood and organs all over their parent or guardian. But then I realized that benefits everyone because it keeps the population in check while also being very fun to watch. So on second thought, I'd wish for just 1 billion trapdoors to appear all over the Earth, so nobody could walk more than 10 feet without running the risk of falling into a deep hole. That way, the entertainment factor is given a counterbalance by the fear of falling into one myself. If I were a woman, I'd think that the most sensible decision would be to swear off intercourse forever immediately after pushing a chunk of human being out of one or possibly both holes. When you write and pass a final exam, what part of you goes, sure, let's go back into that classroom and write that shit all over again? Unless you did really poorly on the test, so maybe if the kid came out deformed I could understand calling a mulligan. Like, alright, this one's pretty good, but I think we could do better. Let's try again and, just throw that one in the garbage. When I broke my leg, the last thing I wanted to do was get back into anything that had even the slightest possibility of causing me to fracture anything ever again. For months. So I can't imagine wanting to get back into the saddle after my dick and asshole explodes to make way for a tiny human being like some kind of skin-covered rocket launcher. There's so many movies about Ouija boards that you think every facet of the ritual process is covered, but what they very rarely mention is the jerk-off that you're with who insists on moving the little thing that everybody puts their hands on. Every circle of friends has that one asshole who's willing to ruin an entire night of entertainment by actually trying to convince everybody else that the ghost just called the person beside him a dick face. Hey, fun fact, if you're channeling a demon, he probably doesn't even know what a dick face is because he is eons old, and I bet they had different names for those things back then. And if you are that person, let me give you some advice. Don't let the people you're with find out that you've been dicking around, because if they do, you've basically just volunteered yourself to get ghost pranked for the rest of the night. So don't fall asleep. And if you do fall asleep, don't be surprised when you wake up in the morning to find that you have far fewer friends than you did the night before, because spoiler alert, we all hate you now. And that is based on a true story that happened to me. Dense ball of seething black abyss, because my hope is that one day I'll be able to throw my concentrated loathing at someone and they will be absorbed into the sphere, at which point I will obtain their essence. Wow, that got really intense.